Greetings and salutations, folks. My name's Nick, and welcome to PowerWash Simulator 2, a game that I've already actually beaten. I have cleaned up all of Muckingham. I've done the first optional level, but new content has emerged, and I have started streaming again. So why not start streaming PowerWash Simulator 2, the Adventure Time DLC, which I feel like me and Adventure Time is a little bit of an odd combination because I've never actually watched any of the Adventure Time TV show. I've heard it's good, but I've never actually gotten around to watching it. I've played another Adventure Time video game for some reason. I've played, no, I actually have a good reason. I've played the Adventure Time game, Hey Ice King, what did you do with all of our garbage? It'll come back to me who the developers are, but they're really good and I like them. I want to say they make the Shantae games. Okay, so the first place we're going to is the Treehouse. With PowerWash Simulator 2, its achievements are actually pretty straightforward. PowerWash Simulator 1, the achievements are a pain in the ass. But in 2, it's largely just you have an objective to do, like something specific you need to do inside the level. Like, okay, in the treehouse job, reach maximum height on the Jake scissor lift. We can do that. I, Princess Bubblegum, hereby dub thee the Royal Candy Cleaner. Sounds like a tough job, I know, but I genetically spliced you from the legs of a worker bee and the toughest donut I could find. So my hard work is literally baked into your DNA. My friends Finn and Jake have volunteered by royal decree to devise a test to train you up. Do a good job and who knows, maybe you'll get the royal seal of approval. And this is something I was wondering, is like, am I bringing my own equipment to the job, or are there specific washers for the Adventure Time DLC? Because that's something that, like, with the first Power Washer game, oof. Are these clean areas? This is a rarity. Walking into a place and there are actually places in the area that aren't completely ruined. I do not see Jake. Oh, there's BMO. I feel like I really should have watched at least one episode of Adventure Time. Oh. I didn't realize I'm also playing as kind of like a character, or that's the suit I'm wearing. Yeah. I thought this was the treehouse job. This is apparently the living room job. The treehouse living room. I am dumb. That is why Jake is not in this room. This is not the treehouse job. This is the treehouse living room job, which is a completely different job. Okay, let us begin cleaning. Oh wait, that's just nozzles. I do like how this has a different approach to the I don't even know how this is going to work. Hey Finn, I hear sloshing, splooshing, and burbling. The royal candy cleaner must have started already. I hear it, too, dude. I do like the fact that they kind of went out and wow, this is actually a little bit tricky to try to concentrate on both talking and cleaning. Which is kind of interesting because, like, I've already written 2 reviews about PowerWash Simulator for a website, blog, nope, that a friend of mine runs called The Twin Geeks. Both of them are written in second person because sometimes when it comes to my writing, I just huff my own farts. That's other people write like normal writers, and then there's me huffing my own farts in the corner. And just going like, you know what? A video game review in second person, that's perfect. But I did that for both PowerWash Simulator 1 and 2. And I think the idea was because I was trying to focus on the experience versus like, this is the gameplay, this is the graphics. And I think that's something that I've been trying to do a lot with my writing in regards to reviewing games. Like, I think a lot of times people like to focus on the content, but not enough about the experience, which sounds like something somebody would say as they're huffing their own farts. But what I'm trying to say earlier about the art style in this Adventure Time DLC is it is interesting that this time we're not only getting DLC that is meant to just add content. Like, there's plenty of content for PowerWash Simulator 1. You look at... I haven't done all of the content for PowerWash Simulator 1. I've done, like, the Tomb Raider stuff, the Final Fantasy stuff. I think I did the Back to the Future stuff. But if you look at all of the different DLC packs, they all look like PowerWash Simulator 1. Though, to be fair, the assets used for Final Fantasy VII, they look like the asset. Like, it could easily be. I don't even know if it could easily be the original assets used in the Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. But, like, with this, I feel like the people over at Future Lab have really kind of pushed themselves by creating not necessarily just content, but also, like, really themed content. Like, it's not to say that there isn't even the start of that in PowerWash Simulator 1. Like, if you look at the levels in, say, the Tomb Raider DLC, like, they're still kind of meant to create a space for Lara Croft, even if it doesn't necessarily pull from any of the specific games. Like, you've got the courtyard outside the mansion. You've got, like, training grounds. That's very, very nice. I'm glad I've earned these reward points. Also, what kind of nozzles? We got short extension. Okay. Not because now, like, everything has kind of like this taken on this new art style. I don't necessarily... I got the candy washer with the... there's the adaptable nozzle. That's going to be important for one of the other achievements. Yeah, the candy vehicle's job using only the adaptable nozzle, which really, I mean, you don't really need... much besides the adaptable nozzle. Shall we do the long extension? Wait, somebody's playing my bass. I can feel it. Oh. And are we getting messages specifically based on the locations that we're cleaning? Very nice. Finn trashing our living room for Bubblegum's official test was such a great idea. I know, bro. How many chances are we going to get to empty the cupboards like that with zero comeback? You think they'll clean it all? No way. I went over that slime stain like 5 times. I have no idea what these characters sound like. Did I sound anywhere close? Like, is there like a sound-alike to Finn and Jake? That you could recommend as reference for the uneducated on Adventure Time? Is it Adventure Time streaming on anything? I feel like yeah, I think it's well known, Khaleesi, that like streaming content has become so bananas that like you could have like 5 to 10 different streaming services, but you still don't have access to the one show you're trying to watch. It does not seem that there's going to be any specific store, though. The thing that I wonder more about is like, is this DLC going to come with anything that you could specifically unlock for your home base? Because that's, I think, one of the features in PowerWash Simulator 2 that is both interesting, especially from a multiplayer point of view, but also like it feels as though the home base isn't quite as developed as it could be. Largely because, like, aside from the limited amount of stuff that you can purchase for your home base, like, the mechanics of your home base are also a little bit crusty. Like, you can buy a rug, but you cannot put something on top of the rug. You can buy a table, but you cannot put something on top of the table. You can buy shelves, but you cannot stock those shelves with stuff. So your home base becomes kind of like an empty parlor. With a relatively limited set of furniture. Like, it's an interesting idea, but it's not particularly developed. But, like, the way that I look at PowerWash Simulator 2 is that it is a more refined PowerWash Simulator 1. Like, I think back in the day, like, sequels would be really, like, revamped versions of the original. Like, you compare, let's say, Diablo 1 to Diablo 2. But then, you compare Diablo 1 to Diablo 2, and, like, Diablo 2 is a tremendous game. in comparison. It builds upon its design. It adds tons of features. It practically redoes a lot of the game. Whereas like PowerWash Simulator 2, it streamlines a large amount. And that's another thing that sometimes happens along the way is as you look at a lot of games over time, often sequels start streamlining gameplay ideas. Like you look at, say, Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age to Dragon Age 2, to Dragon Age 3, to Dragon Age 4 gives probably the most disappointing timeline when it comes to the streamlining of gameplay concepts. I would say, oh my gosh, I keep hitting the wrong buttons because I've been playing through PowerWash Simulator 1 with a good friend of mine, and the buttons are all in different places in the first one. Dude, chucking out all that food made me hungry. We should have made sandwiches when we had the chance. Don't sweat it. I'll just stretch a leg in through the window and grab us something from the cupboard. I mean, is that a thing you can do? We cleaned them out, remember? Besides, Bubblegum said no interruptions under any circumstances. But yeah, I've been playing PowerWash Simulator 1. So many of the controls are different. And I kind of wish they updated PowerWash Simulator 1, even if it's just had the layout of PowerWash Simulator 2. But like, there's a lot of very specific gameplay ideas that are streamlined for Part 2. Like, you don't have to worry about the material type you're cleaning. You don't have to get soap for... that works on specific materials, but not on other materials. Soap just kind of acts as like a foam you coat and stuff. I don't even know if this... I just have the surface cleaner and the professional duty. Honestly, the surface cleaner I'm not that big of a fan of. Like, it's neat, but I never really got too attached to it. Oh, hello. Snail. I'm sure that's a character in the show, possibly. There's simply no way to tell. It's impossible. But yeah, in the first game, like, you have light, medium, deep stains, material types, and I feel as though the main game of PowerWash Simulator 2 simplified a lot of that, and also, like, as I'm cleaning this Adventure Time scenario, I feel as though Adventure Time simplifies it even more. And I wonder how much of it is dependent on how far you are in the main game. Like, if you've beaten the main game, do you have access to better... to a better cleaner? Like, because I beat the main game, I have access to the professional washer. There we go. Versus, say, like a medium duty, especially since you're not necessarily... Oh, Hello, someone is trying to grab some shut-eye here. Check, please. I think I'm going to make a rule right now. It seems a little bit early for me to make any rules in regards to this, but my rule is that I'm not allowed to talk about the Enchiridion that that I'm not familiar with Adventure Time. I think I've gotten that across. No need to run that to the ground. But instead, we'll talk about a couple other things. The first being is it doesn't seem to be like there's going to be a store specific for Adventure Time. Actually, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the store to see if it is updated with anything. It is not. Those are all the things that I already own. I have everything in this game. I've played way too much of PowerWash Simulator 2. Oh, here we go. We've got a couple more things we can buy. How many P coins? I can afford this. And this futuristic lamp. And this neon rocket light. Ah, but I no longer can afford the record player. Let's grab... Yeah. They've updated it. I wonder how much of it was updated because of the Adventure Time. Well. With any luck, I'll be able to earn the coin to buy the rest of the things. But it is not necessarily not necessary for all the achievements. It doesn't really seem like there was anything Adventure Time specific to that catalog. And that's the thing that I was wondering most in regards to the usage of like its licensed DLC in the future, was whether there was going to be like specific licensed products that you can add to your home base, which on one hand it surprises me a little bit. On the other hand, we only have begun cleaning the first map. So there's a chance that like you'll be able to unlock stuff as you go. And I've just spent all of my P coins on stuff that was just added in between the release of the game and now. I'm so hungry, I could eat your shoe. That's gross, dude. My shoes are stank and nasty. Are stank nasty. Right now I could eat them both. And your socks. Oh yeah? They're right here for you, bro. Catch. But it is interesting that like they've adopted the more cartoonish style. And like adopting a cartoonish style in 3D is always a tricky thing to do. Though it usually tends to lead to the games that have aged the best. Also, I'm going to try not to just glance off in silence. Ooh, can we... if only there was a way to roll the die. Yep, no. But yeah, I would appreciate it if, like, I doubt they would ever do it, but it would be nice if they one day went back to PowerWash Simulator 1 just to update those controls. That way I could be used to both games. And, you know, it's not a bad idea. Like, you can get people who are accustomed to playing PowerWash Simulator 2, they can easily jump into PowerWash Simulator 1. From the control standpoint, they don't necessarily have to relearn where button placement is. And also in regards to not knowing the license, I'm reminded of what might be my favorite Guitar Hero game. I don't know if this is necessarily a hot take, but my favorite Guitar Hero game is actually, it is kind of a hot take because I think people don't really, it has issues. It has issues. Is Guitar Hero Live. There's a section of Guitar Hero Live where like they were really hoping to monetize the platform by having you like access a random set of songs online. That is not that whole half of the game. I don't care about. There's the main Guitar Hero Live half of the game where you have the FMV, where they have like FMV of you on the stage playing the song. And like if you're doing great, the music is there, the band is there, the audience is cheering you on. It's like the painting is the clothes she's wearing. The audience is cheering you on. It's great. But if you're like doing really shitty, like the band is like, "What the hell are you doing, man? We're trying to do a show here. You're just screwing up." And the audience is booing you. That is a letter. Interesting. And I really liked the and I suppose if you know me well enough, you'll know that some of my favorite games of all time are FMV games, specifically the Tex Murphy adventure games. So I'm already on board for but there's also like if you've ever played them, the Crusader No Remorse series also has some great FMV. So I'm already on board for FMV titles. And I just really, really liked the gimmick. In fact, I liked the gimmick so much that if they had released additional content for that game, I would have just bought it. It doesn't matter if I like or dislike the song. Like, and that's I think one of the biggest things in regards to a lot of Rock Band and Guitar Hero is that you really have to like the song if you're going to download the pack, because other than the song, like there's usually the digital band playing, but at no point have I ever really cared about the digital band. Like they're just kind of doing their thing. They're just drumming their drums, singing their sings, rocking their rocks. But ultimately, they're just noise in the background, covered up by the pattern of the guitar neck, whatever beat sequence is being dictated for me to play. And it wasn't until Guitar Hero Live that I really cared about what was going on in the background. So much so that I would have, if they did, but they didn't, bought content for songs that I didn't really like, that I didn't necessarily cared for, or was even aware of. And I feel as though PowerWash Simulator 2 and 1, but I got, like, I'll talk about why I didn't necessarily play every PowerWash Simulator 1 DLC in just a moment. But PowerWash Simulator 2, like, I would play the content for... Hold on. Actually, you know what? I don't think your shoes are going to cut it. I'm going to eat the entire treehouse instead. Oh, yeah? Well, you better hurry up, because I'm about to eat the entire grasslands and Candy Kingdom. Well, you'll have to do it inside my tum-tum, because I'm about to eat all of, even the vapor swamps. Ew, dude. That went too far. I don't feel hungry anymore. Me neither? High five! Heck yeah! This one's gonna need a run-up. But yeah, with PowerWash Simulator 2, like, I feel as though I'm very willing to buy contact packs for, like, brands and licenses that I'm not necessarily aware of, that I have not watched the show. As you can see right now, I have put my money where my mouth is. Actually, no, I did not put my money where my mouth is. I put my money onto Xbox Live, and then it was converted into digital content. But the point stands. Though I think I would like Adventure Time if I gave it a chance. I just have to find out if it's streaming on something. Because, you know, like I said, you can own the world, and for some reason you still won't have access to the one show you're trying to get a hold of. That is the essence of capitalism. Or at the very least, capitalism in this digital age, which reminds us that we don't necessarily own anything, that everything is temporary, and then sooner or later, much like the grime upon this roof, everything will be gone. Gone. Although I gotta say, this map isn't necessarily as populous as I expected. I'm washing in my mind, washing in my brain. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Does BMO talk in rhyme? Nope, hold on. Almost missed you over there. Excellent. All right, it does look like you're only getting P coins for the cleaning of these levels, but these are, like, I feel like the main game kind of balances out the cash that you earn. And at this point, you don't necessarily even need to earn cash. Like, there's nothing that I would even need to buy with cash because I've already bought everything in the store. The only thing that remains is the customizable options that are only available from P-Coins. So that might help in regards to unlocking these newer items and possibly Adventure Time items that show up once you complete out the first map. That is my prediction. Is once I'm done here, that we can hop by the store and see what things that we may have unlocked. Nope, nope. Eh. Are we getting unique splatter effects from cleaning the oven? And the stove, which is actively on for some reason? Nope, wrong. I keep hitting the wrong button for rotate. I think that's the only one that's catching me. Because, like, it helps that, like, you can just have the power washer going at all times. So even if the button changes, you don't necessarily need to worry about it that long. Okay, I feel as though as we get close to finishing off this level, we're going to have a lot of little nooks and crannies to deal with. But this game does a little bit better of a job than PowerWash Simulator 1 in regards to narrowing down those nooks and crannies. And hopefully, once we get closer and closer towards the end, we can experience that same... that same resolution. We'll get that in a bit. Yep, I see you. But luckily I don't have to get everything. Just close enough. There we go. Now the targeting cursor has appeared. To line itself up with whatever is close to us. Ah, there we go. All right, what is... We got the door. Got you. Got the bottom of you. Oh, I missed you. And whatever else that was. The scrub bucket. Probably the bottom, yeah. Nope. All right. The couch frame. Oh, is it on the inside? Hollow floor interior. Oh, probably the inside of the bucket, maybe. Or no, the entrance barrel swords. You need swords in a barrel, really. These are very important. Joshua's hat. All right. Very nice little touch of having, like, it not necessarily plays a whole song. Entrance wall branch. It's like I've just barely, almost cleaned these things. Oh, hello. Living room wall. Well, if I was a stain upon the living room wall, the nook shelf, the armrest. Yep. Yes, and having this, like, this is one of those things that's one of the quality of life features that was added in. Living room ceiling branch. I'm trying to remember which button reveals the none of those buttons. Which button reveals the dirt? That is soap. If I was the reveal dirt button, wow. I used it earlier today on accident. Dirt highlight. It's right analog stick. There we go. All right, now we're on the last three. Got kitchen pot, TV, living room wall branch. There's that. Kitchen pot. You look like a kitchen pot. Nope, you are the kitchen pot. There we go. We've done it. We've cleaned the treehouse living room. What do we even look like? We look like an ice cream cone wearing a pressure washer. Schmauzows. RCC, that was tops. I can't believe you cleaned everything. Was kind of hoping you'd leave something behind since we cleared out the cupboards, making the place all skronked up. Maybe we can grab lunch elsewhere. Yeah, let's go to the home base really quick like. Which, here is my home base. There are cats. There's Squeak. It says pet Squeak, but it kind of looks like we're just kind of waving towards Squeak. Like waving in Squeak's general direction. There's Bubbles. And then Mama Cat Ulysses. Our computer, which we never use. Our team, which we don't hang out with. And our office, filled with press clippings about everything we did and also photos of the cats. Which reminds me, I have to take a screenshot at some point. This is my home base. I decided I liked the Gothic architecture a little bit more. But because you can't put things on top of things, and there really aren't any props, let's take a look at the store. See if the store updated with furniture. Yeah, I don't necessarily see any... I do kind of want the typewriter. Any Adventure Time, because like that could be a prop that goes onto a table. Let's see if they fixed... you can actually put things on top of things. Fantastic. I'll get you, my pretty. There we go. All right, let's take a look at the next job. Pizza Sassies. So I get an achievement for completing the Pizza Sassy job. In the Pizza Sassy's job, clean all 3 doors first. Now, is that the slab? Does that also include the doorknob? My royal candy cleaner. While we wait for Finn and Jake to show up with your test results, something's come up. The front of Pizza Sassy's got all donked up with snow and ice. Again! As the Candy Kingdom's only savory restaurant, it's imperative that Sassy's is reopened ASAP. Also, it's pizza night, and I'm in the mood for a sweet and Sassy's. I must say, this very specific camera angle makes everything look like it's a miniature. Like I'm not even looking at a fully sized thing. Sassy's door? Is it possible to clean off the door, but not the knob? Cafe door. Actually, let's look at the information. No. Okay, let's try it. Let's assume that everything attached to, like the cafe door, knob, window, is part of the door. And if I'm wrong, then I will just do this area, the beginning of the level again on my own time. I've done it again prior for a previous achievement in this game. because for some reason it did not register. Okay, so we got the cafe. It seems as though the Ice King has hit this place. Hey, Jake, I'm going to get to the bottom of this snow and ice thing. Want to help me with my investigation? I'm already finding prints on everything in here. I wonder if it was the Ice King who covered it in ice. Nah, dude, I'm going to hang outside with RCC. All these swooshes and suds are making my brain tingle. Okay, bro, I'll let you know if I find anything. Is that what they do in the show? They investigate? What kind of detective solves crimes? Oh, I said it wrong. What kind of alligator solves crimes? An investigator. I'm assuming the door frame is part of it. Okay. So now we've got Sassy's door. We've got cafe door. We didn't get the cafe door window. There we go. And that leaves... There's apparently a third door. The house door. And I'm hoping that this achievement works exactly like I expect it to. But you never know sometimes with achievements. All right. Don't think that worked, unfortunately. I worry that either the door frame doesn't count, or let's see, you got Sassy's door, blah, blah, blah. We got cafe door, frame, knob, window. And then house door, frame, knob, window. I worry that the knob technically doesn't count. Which would be problematic. Because I imagine it would be very difficult to clean just the knob by itself. Or sorry, not the knob, but just the door slab. Now, in theory, I could try to aim at everything besides the knob and hope that eventually the gradual deterioration of all of the dirt around the door is enough. But that is not a problem for current Nick. That is a problem for future Nick. Though I would like to get that achievement, because I was sitting in 100% achievements for this game. Though, like I admit, I'm not an achievement hunter myself. It is very rare that I find myself trying to get 100% achievements in a game or a platinum trophy. Like, I've had a PlayStation console since before the PlayStation has had trophies. And I only have 3 trophies. Sorry, 3. Yeah, I've only gotten 3 trophies on all of PlayStation games. Somehow I have avoided success in every. No. I have only gotten 3 platinum trophies in any game that I've in any of the games I've played, largely because like I just don't pursue the platinum. You know, it is interesting, though, that there are certain areas that are just not covered in muck. And I feel like that is kind of a step up in regards to presentation. Because, like, I feel as though just having everything covered in muck is not quite as interesting as having just a lot of things covered in muck. Like, and somebody just missed a spot here or there. Although now I feel as though we are definitely hitting the big level. The level that tests how capable I am at talking about absolutely nothing for an hour, since I think I've kind of used up everything I had to say in the first area. I'm sure I can say more. There's lots of stuff to talk about with PowerWash Simulator 2. The subject is endless. Like, though I suppose I would have to say one of the things I've talked about in regards to the series in general, in both reviews that I wrote for PowerWash Simulator 2 and PowerWash Simulator 2, 1 for the Twin Geeks, is the idea that these games are kind of like those perfect games to listen to podcasts to. Like, if you're into podcasts, or if you like having a YouTube video on in the background, like, these are the perfect games for that, because they don't necessarily require all of your attention. They just require enough. And I would say, like, me talking about the game while playing the game is actually more attention than I've generally given the PowerWash Simulator games. Or at the very least, more conscious attention. Whereas, like, listening to having a YouTube video in the background, and I say podcasts because, like, now that the YouTube videos have kind of like supplemented podcasts in a way. Like, we've kind of turned away from having just strict podcast presentations and having more videos that act as podcasts. Like, if you consider, say, like Philip DeFranco's news show, can easily act as a podcast in the background. The Daily Show, I've been watching that in the background. Heck, even reactions to movies can count, especially if you know the movie that people are watching. Because then you're like, okay, they're getting to that one scene. I don't have to watch the scene in the movie to experience their reaction to this scene. But yeah, like YouTube has just kind of become more increased in video podcasts. Let's clean up underneath here. It's a little bit out of reach for my current nozzle, but we're going to do it fine. Okay, groovy. Where are we in the game? We have the top floors of the house, the 3-layer sassies, and then the top 2 floors of the cafe. So in a sense, like switching from listening to podcasts while playing PowerWash Simulator 2 to playing PowerWash Simulator 2 live kind of almost transforms this into like a background material to the podcast that I'm creating. The aimless, directionless podcast, but it still functions closer to the podcast than a Let's Play. So pizza's sassy. Building's covered in ice. What happened? Freezer door left open? All I know is that we shut up early after a huge order cleaned us out. When we went to open up this morning, this is how we found it. Yeah. Interesting. I'm going to need to take a closer look. Look. But yeah, like other games, Let's Plays function a little bit clearer. Oh no, we've fallen into the meta trap, describing the function of the Let's Play within a Let's Play. I swear I'll escape this soon. But like I've been playing The Witcher 3, and like it's a more storyline, cinematically driven game, so it carries its own weight quite often. Like, I don't necessarily need to constantly be describing things, talking about things, because every so often Geralt is going to have something to say. Even something as more straightforward as Doom. There's the constant shifting threats of hell. Whereas, like, if I was to spend my time describing what I'm cleaning, I feel as though that would fall into a different sort of trap. And it reminds me of a very, very, very specific core memory on the kind of streamer I don't want to be. There was this one point in time I'm watching somebody play through the PS4 reboot of Thief. It's not a great game. It has its moments, but there are very specific things that they tried to do in the reboot that I don't think worked very well. Like, its dodge mechanic is really cool in regards to how you dodge from shadow to shadow, but like its limitations on arrows make very little logical sense. Even if they kind of function as more of a video game creation to limit yourself as a character. Like, there are plenty of times where you like knock out a guard and he's got a quiver filled with arrows, but you can only pick up 0. Because you have filled your quiver of arrows. You can only carry like 5 regular arrows and 2 water arrows, and they're all different arrows to your inventory stockpile. But anyway, the streamer in question, they're playing the game and they're literally just describing every specific thing that their character is doing on screen. They're just being like, all right, got to sneak into this window, got to break open the window, breaking open the window. What is in this room? Climbing into this room. We're climbing into the room now, opening up the window and climbing inside. We're in the room. What is in the room? Looking behind us, the window is now closed behind us. The room is empty. It's small. And it's like, wow, this is so active, but saying almost nothing, because if you are watching the stream, you will know exactly what is inside the room. You don't need somebody to actively describe the very specific things that are happening. And PowerWash Simulator 2, if I was to focus on the gameplay aspect of it... Actually, let's take a moment to switch to the... Let's try this out for a second. Just to see how it is, like, on at least flat surfaces. Like, I'm not a big... I think I would like it more if it didn't automatically adjust constantly. Like, if this was how it was... See how it kind of, like, auto-adjusts depending on the surface you're nearby? And I think part of that is because there are so many different angles. And that's kind of like why I tend to avoid using the surface cleaner. But anyway, like, if I was just describing the actions that I'm performing as you see them, like, that would be so much worse than my Thief reboot example. Simply because a lot of these actions are just kind of... are very repetitive in their act. It is point and shoot at its simplest. And that's fine, because the itch that PowerWash Simulator 2 scratches is a much different itch than, say, that of Thief or that of The Witcher. There's something satisfying about taking this horribly disgusting monstrosity of a dirty set of buildings and washing them down, bringing them to their most pristine shape. And I would also even say that there's a very specific message that exists in PowerWash Simulator 2 that I feel like I have trouble adopting to my own life. And that is the idea that a task, tremendous in size, if broken down into its smallest steps, can eventually become possible. Ooh, hold on. Account created 3 days ago, just wandering around, advertising. You know, though, what do accounts like that even gain? The accounts that kind of like go into a room and they're like best views. Are they hoping the streamer is going to click on it? And especially in areas where there's like fewer people watching. If nobody's watching and somebody posts clickbait, is there anybody to click on it besides the streamer themselves? You're not really attracting much of a crowd. I feel like that's always my greatest difficulty in power washing, is there's always something in the geometry that I walk up against. Because I spend so much time focused on the cleaning of the object itself that I don't necessarily notice the area around myself. That disappears. But yeah, if I was treating this like that Thief player was treating his stream, like the entire stream would just be like, oh, now clean the wall, there's less dirt on it. But if I treat it like a podcast, that would require me to be prepared with at the very least some sort of thing to talk about, which I did not do today. But that's okay, because hey, we're still having a good time. And by we, I mean me. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. I feel as though like I'm going to have to come back and clean off these doors and really dodge those doorknobs if I expect to get that achievement. All right. But in regards to like treating this like a podcast, what would I talk about? What haven't I talked about lately? On stream edits. Who knows? I talk about way too much stuff. I might not have talked about, like, we've got a lot of video game movies and video game adaptations coming out. And that have come out. There was the Super Mario Galaxy movie that just came out. There was Return to Silent Hill, which everybody agrees, everybody who has watched it, should I say, seems to agree that it was bad. from the director of the original Silent Hill movie, which goes to show that even if you are not if you've made the best version of a thing, that does not necessarily mean you are particularly good at it. Welcome back to the Graveyard Shift, folks. I'm your host, Starchy. So much unexplained weirdness has happened since the last show, I don't know where to start. That's because I forgot my notes. Same, Starchy. Or did I? Dun dun dun! Or is someone trying to silence me from beyond the grave? Either way, I better go find them. Back in a jiffy. So yeah, we got all those video game-based adaptations. We got Mortal Kombat sequel coming along. We got a Street Fighter movie. We got a Mass Effect TV show coming along from Amazon, which is apparently supposed to tell its own unique story. It's not about Commander Shepard, which a lot of people seem to like. Seem to approve of. It is nice to have something new, but I still feel as though the writers of Mass Effect wrote themselves into kind of a corner with the ending of Mass Effect 3, but that's its own. That's its own thing. We don't need to dive into Mass Effect 3 ending issues at this. We got time. Let's dive into it a little bit. So my issue with the Mass Effect 3 ending is especially how it kind of like ends the franchise. It doesn't really leave the franchise open for more. Like, their goal was to give you a bittersweet ending for Shepard, but in doing so, they also created 3 different endings that cannot exist simultaneously, and also kind of end the franchise. Like, even with their additional ending that they added later, it doesn't necessarily build onto the possibility of story. Like, you look at Mass Effect as a franchise, like, there are the games, there were books that took place around those games, but there hasn't really been a book that took place after Mass Effect 3. And I'm not counting the Mass Effect Andromeda books. Because technically that does take place after Mass Effect 3, but far, far away in a galaxy far, far away. Long after the events of Mass Effect 3. Like, whatever happened as the consequences of the ending of Mass Effect 3 is still unknown and will remain unknown until BioWare finishes this Mass Effect 4. I'm expecting they're going to choose one ending, and that ending is going to be canon. Or they're going to be really, really vague to keep the ending the choice non-canon. But my prediction is they're going to choose one ending over the others, because it also changes how Commander Shepard shows up in any subsequent releases. Like, if they want Shepard to show up, they do have to pick one ending over the other. But anyway, I digress. So there's the Mass Effect show from Amazon, which we're hoping for the best, but Amazon also, I want to say they also did the Halo TV show, which I hear was not particularly great, or should I say authentic to the games. And I'm not necessarily including the Witcher TV show in this discussion. I hear the Castlevania show is actually really good. I've watched only the first season, I think. Maybe the first 2 seasons. I don't remember if I watched the second season. I know I watched the first season. With my good friend Pete. But I don't remember if we ever got around to watching season 2. Pete, you'll have to remind me if we watched season 2. But, like, that was actually not a bad adaptation of the source material, which is impressive to do, considering that source material is largely just walk to the right and hit things with a whip until they die from it. Whereas, like, a lot of games that have story-rich... I still need to watch the Iron Lung movie, but I also have not played the Iron Lung video game. So I wonder if I should do that before I see Markiplier's adaptation. But I feel like I really should support Markiplier, especially considering I'm somebody who is trying to be a streamer, who is trying to do Let's Plays on YouTube. While also self-publishing a book. Like, all of these things make me feel like I really should be supporting the independent efforts. But yeah, so there's Iron Lung as well. Now, I admit I decided to entirely skip the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Largely because I did not like the first Super Mario movie. The first Super Mario movie felt like I was watching like a board meeting break down what it feels the important scenes in Mario need to be, like what kind of references they need to make. And the script just is a result of trying to shove in all of those references into a single movie. Do we need to care about anything that happens on screen? No, it is just glossy entertainment. But also, why does Mario have like a dislike for mushrooms? Like, at what point did the writers decide, you know what we're going to do? To give characterization to the this Mario movie, we're going to have this guy who is well known for eating mushrooms, for consuming mushrooms. We're going to have him not like mushrooms, so that when he does realize mushrooms are good for him, he's going to have character growth. And that's the only character growth. No. There's more, because like there's also, he has to believe in himself. Since at the beginning of the game, he is not the beginning of the movie, he's not particularly good at platforming. And after Princess Peach runs him through the obstacle course enough times, and Mario has a chance to believe in himself, like he's able to finally platform. Which all seems like it's basically like there's a little bit of Surf Dracula going on here. And if you're not familiar with the term Surf Dracula, it's kind of, there's this meme which goes like, if there was a TV show back in the day called Surf Dracula, you could bet that every single episode you'll find that vampire on a surfboard just surfing at least once per episode. And then if there was a modern remake of Surf Dracula, we would spend the entire episode, sorry, not the entire episode, we would spend the entire season waiting for him to pick up a surfboard. That is the essence of Surf Dracula. And I feel as though like Mario movie does a little bit of Surf Dracula, in that it takes this character who is well known for jumping, for eating mushrooms, to grow more powerful, to use power-ups. There's a plot point involving using power-ups. And it's not until the end of the movie where he finally is able to platform well and is fine with mushrooms, and he uses power-ups in order to defeat Bowser. So yeah, there is character growth in that, like, he starts off with none of the abilities that you know Mario for, and by the end of the movie, he becomes the Mario that you already know and love, possibly, if you're into that sort of thing. Along the way, you've got like a splash of Luigi's Mansion, a dose of Smash Brothers, a dose of Mario Kart. Jack Black doing the Jack Black thing, because he's gonna Jack Black. He can't stop himself. It's in his nature. Also, it's also probably what the studios want from him. Though I hear the sequel does not have a song for Jack Black. The fact that he's not just spontaneously singing in part 2 is a little bit of a surprise. I guess they must have had Jack Black dial it in, or they did not have time for him to sing and all their references that they wanted to sneak in. And based on like what I've heard in regards to the Star Fox cameo in Galaxy. Oh, hold on. Hey, Starchy, I got one for you. I've just walked past Pizza Sassy's, and it's almost exactly half covered in snow and ice. Half covered? Doesn't get any weirder than that, folks. We've all heard of things completely covered in something, like an orange completely covered by a peel, or a ghost completely covered by a sheet, but half covered? And I want to say at some point I did a video about why I disliked the blue shell moment in I did like a whole little video about it because for some reason I was personally offended. I wasn't personally offended. I just didn't like it. But yeah, the way that like they were treating a lot of the from what I heard about Super Mario Galaxy is that I would not like it based on my thoughts on part 1. No reason to waste my time a second time. Although I'll probably watch it. Like I watched the first one when it was streaming. I'll probably watch the second one when it comes onto some streaming service I have access to. As is the way. But it is one of those movies that I found to be very, very easy to skip. And then there's Mortal Kombat 2. I'm a little bit... I feel like I'm a little bit worried about that one. On one hand, it looks really cool. I like Carl Urban. Ah, I like Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Heck, even just in the movie in general. Like, he's great casting. Well, I have to actually use a ladder. But the thing is, like, there we go. I didn't actually like the first Mortal Kombat movie. And by the first one, I mean the previous of the new ones. The classic 90s Mortal Kombat movie, it's still solid. Although, like, if you try to watch it again, you'll realize there are a lot of camera angles that are just POV shots of, like, people punching towards the camera. Like, we don't have enough time to come up with cool stunts for everything. So we're just going to have people throw punches in the direction of the camera. Just like that 3DO fighting game. But like the previous Mortal Kombat movie, I didn't necessarily care for because like I thought that like I'd be fine with it as long as the action was good. But as it turns out, I was wrong. The storyline was just really, really dumb. With the way like characters had to like unlock their special power and ability. And based on what I'm seeing of the sequel, they've more or less forgotten about it. They also seem to have more or less forgotten about the main character in the previous Mortal Kombat movie, who only exists in the movie. I don't remember his name. And I don't intend to look it up right now. He just has... He unlocks the ability to become very armored, and then he can convert that damage he receives into reciprocated pain on his enemies. Which, I mean, as a gameplay idea, it's not bad. There are examples I can think of. Like, I've been playing Diablo 4, and as the Spiritborn, and one of the abilities you have is Payback, which allows you to build up damage based on hits you take. Like, if an opponent does so much damage to you, that scales up the power of that attack for bigger payback. And I feel as though the armor ability of that specific Mortal Kombat character, movie character, functions in a similar fashion. But like with, like I do admit, like I would still say like his presence in the movie still doesn't necessarily make that much sense, because it's like, of all of the things you can do to try to introduce the Mortal Kombat world to the viewer, there are so many Mortal Kombat characters you could have chosen. And like you look at Mortal Kombat's sequel, Carl Urban is kind of also doing the same thing as Johnny Cage, as the main character was doing in the previous Mortal Kombat movie, in that they're playing as a character who is unaware of the tournament and then needs to essentially risk their lives and prove themselves. I feel like this roof geometry is a little bit unfriendly. The canopy. Oh, there we go. There we go. Excellent. So yeah, like he's trying to, his presence in the movie is doing a lot of the same things. That's okay. We're good. Should I just use a ladder? So I'm hoping that Mortal Kombat 2 is a cleaner experience because of that. It's not dependent on characters unlocking their potential and then discovering their superpowers. Like, oh, Kano, like, realizes that he has confidence by being a huge jerk, and that enables him to shoot a laser out of his eye. Like, no, he just has an eye laser. He's not that complicated of a character. You don't have to have character growth tied into their superpowers. That is dumb. That's terrible writing. Like you're trying to force character growth, much like the Mario movie with Mario himself. You're trying to force character growth into their unlocking of abilities. And I'm hoping that Part 2 doesn't mind forgetting that. While also having really cool action. But, like I said, like I was expecting the action alone to be enough. And I was wrong. What else did I list? Nope. Can't really talk. I guess we can't really have anything to say about Fallout for a little while because the TV show did end. Or, well, it didn't end. It ended for the season. It's going to come back. Season 2 was great. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I actually like the plot of Fallout when it's not being told within a Fallout game. Like, I don't think Bethesda, or should I say, I don't think Bethesda is particularly good at telling a plot. Fallout 3 kind of had, like, its main plot was fine enough. But, like, Fallout 4, like, I never played Fallout 4 for the main plot. I wish I had more range in regards to what kind of buildings I could just randomly jump on. Let's see, what else is coming out? Well, there was the Return to Silent Hill, and like, so I didn't watch it. Oh yeah, there's apparently also a Resident Evil movie from Zach Kreger, the maker of Weapons, which could be good. I think he's a good director. I don't necessarily think he's the most interesting writer. Like, Weapons is really well made. It's well shot. but I also feel like the mystery in the movie is actually way simpler than it makes itself seem. Like, by the end of the movie, it's like there's not really that much depth to the mystery. It's just hidden and obfuscated behind multiple layers of characters who aren't involved. It would be like, let's say you decided to tell a story about the assassination of JFK, and then you started the story with the driver of the car. Like, he was there when JFK was shot, but you don't necessarily learn anything from his point of view. And then you switch from that to a passenger in the car. And then you switch from that to somebody who is standing on the side of the road. And then you slowly circle your way over to, oh, it was this guy over here. I feel like that's a similar thing to weapons, is like there's just so many people who are not aware of the answer, and we eventually get closer and closer until we finally get to that one person who is aware of the answers. And the character development kind of disappears in favor of plot development. But all of this could actually very easily work in Zach Cregger's favor, because like it doesn't seem like he's making a movie that's meant to be high in character development. It's meant to be a roller coaster thrill ride. I want to say that he's been interviewed of saying like his intention is to make it be like Fury Road, and that it's going to be like an hour and 30 minutes of movie that does not let up. Which could be fine. Let's use you. This is one of the neat additions for Part 2. Like, they've added some quality of life choices along with some new equipment, like the scissor lift is a neat addition. Though its accessibility always depends on the level itself. We need some range. Okay. So yeah, there's that in the works. There was the Return to Silent Hill movie, which I did not see. Everybody seems... I might watch it one day when it becomes free for streaming just to see what they tried to do. Like how they tried to adapt it. Like, it seems as though they have like video game accurate camera angles. For its opening. I don't know. I feel like I'm really far, though. Like, that's the issue with the sprayers and the geometry. But yeah, to see how they tried to adapt it and fail... Like, where did they go wrong? I feel like that is probably something interesting to look at. Especially since they essentially took a... Well, there are certain things that is pretty obvious as to where they went wrong. Considering the fact they took the longer game, it's a shorter movie than... I want to say it's a shorter movie than the original one, but it's also made for like half the money. like 20 years later. And so, like, no wonder all the special effects look bad, because they spent less money on the sequel than they did the original. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the Jay and Silent Bob movie and then the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Like, as a fan of View Askew, like, there was still enjoyment to be found in the reboot. But you can tell that it was filmed on an extremely cheap budget in comparison to the original. Like, they clearly did not spend as much money on part 2 as they did on part 1. Whether it's just from the fact that every location gets only used once, actors only show up for like one scene and are never seen again. You have some locations that are used from like multiple angles to make it seem like they're multiple locations. Though I feel like in regards to Jalen Silent Bob Strike Back, like Kevin Smith like tried his best to fund it one way or another, and what he made was a movie that is very, very specifically for fans of View Askew, and is probably not going to be enjoyed by anybody else besides them. There's not really, it's not a cinematic achievement. Oh no, it's the Ice King. Who would have expected him? Hey, what do you think you're doing, getting rid of all that beautiful snow and ice? That took me ages. Well, okay, maybe not that long, but that's only because I'm so good at it. Well, it's a good thing that Finn was investigating, because the crime has been solved. It was the Ice King who covered the building in ice. I would never have expected such. Anyway. There we go. But yeah, Return to Silent Hill, made for on the cheap. Does not help. So like if your movie is meant to be a roller coaster thrill ride, and you spent $1 on it, like that's just going to be obvious as you watch it. And I feel like that has been obvious to the people who have watched Return to Silent Hill. Though I admit, like, one day I would not mind watching it, only to just try to figure out like how, like, what did they change, what did they keep. I wonder, like if I was to adapt Silent Hill 2, like, what angle would I try to do differently? Well, actually, hold on. I think I know how I would do Silent Hill as a feature film differently. I feel as though it might, like, just spitball in here. If you were to make a Silent Hill movie or TV show, you would make something first. You would make something new. It has to be new and original. It cannot be an adaptation of Silent Hill 1 or Silent Hill 2. Because, like, a lot of Silent Hill 1, the pacing of Silent Hill 2 is built around it being a video game. the pacing of the story, the construction of the story, and also if you're just going to do camera perfect retellings, like what are you adding to the story? Whereas I feel like if, like, let's say you decided to you do your own thing, but inspired by Silent Hill, like create your Silent Hill TV universe, and just took inspiration from the games, which also kind of leads me onto another note. You cannot use Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head only belongs in Silent Hill 2. He does not belong in any other Silent Hill game, because he is a figment, a manifestation of James's guilt. He is specific to the character. That is why Pyramid Head only showed up in Silent Hill 2. He's not in Silent Hill 3 or 4. It wasn't like, because he's this fan favorite creature is why he shows up in other Silent Hill works. But this fan favorite creature, along with the nurses, who are very specific to James, like you look at the nurses in Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3, they're not sexy nurses. Like in Silent Hill 1, it's just regular nurse. In Silent Hill, with like a parasite attached to her back. In Silent Hill 3, it's a regular like parasite nurse, sometimes with a gun. Silent Hill 3 is a little odd. But that's a game that you can tell that they rushed in development. Like apparently Silent Hill 3, like Team Silent worked on for like 9 months, which is unbelievable that you can get a new game at that speed. But there's a reason why you have things like asset reuse, location reuse, and enemy or weapon animations that don't even hit your enemies. But yeah, like if I was making a Silent Hill adaptation, it would be a new thing. Like maybe the overarching plot might be somewhat similar in structure. Like you look at Silent Hill 1. What is the most important thing about Silent Hill 1 is that it essentially is about somebody who is somebody who is being introduced to the city. No. Let's dial that back. Like I feel as though like one of the things that's been tricky about Silent Hill as a franchise is like, what is Silent Hill? Is it a place that's being like torn apart by cults? Like, is it cultish activity? Is it a place where people's guilt manifests their own personal hell? Is it both? How is it both? Like, you consider, like, Silent Hill 1. Harry goes there, and there's a cult, there's bad guys. They're not really manifestations of Harry's guilt. They're, like, demons summoned by the cult. Along with that are there because of the plan to get to bring back a god. And Silent Hill 3 has a little bit of that, has that too. Whereas like Silent Hill 2, I don't know enough about 4, but I'm pretty sure 4 doesn't actually take place in Silent Hill. And then you look at like Silent Hill Downpour, focus on the idea that these are manifestations of guilt. Silent Hill Homecoming, I think, has a little bit of both cults and guilt. Silent Hill 0 is more cults. Silent Hill Shattered Memories brings Silent Hill 1 away from the cult and more towards the guilt, though it has its own twists and turns. But yeah, I feel like this would be Silent Hill. Like if you're taking it from a new story point of view, you could maybe show Silent Hill before it becomes a horrible place to live. Would not travel to. 0 stars on my Yelp review of their Silent Hill hotel and resort. Would not go bowling at their Bowleramo ever again due to the presence of demon dogs. So that would be probably like my first idea. Because like if you try to just straight up do Silent Hill 2, the problem is like you have all of those long sequences that make sense in a video game, but not so much sense in a movie. Now, if you really wanted to adapt the game itself, like Silent Hill 1, the first Silent Hill movie isn't bad, and it has its moments. But like a good third of the movie is kind of just there. Like the whole sequence where the dad is trying to find out what's going on. Like that plot line goes kind of nowhere. And it's just kind of like filler in comparison to like the mom with her kid who wakes up screaming the name of the town. That's probably the worst part of the first Silent Hill movie, is the kid who wakes up screaming the name of the town. I mean, no criticism on the kid's acting. I don't think anybody could really deliver that and make me take it seriously. Actually, you're pretty handy with that thing, aren't you, little goody two-shoes? Two legs, 2 arms, 1 head. Kind of gives me an idea. Oh man, if this game just suddenly had a boss fight where you had to like battle against somebody else, like you would not expect it. This is not the kind of game you would expect boss fight in. Alright, this canopy might be a little tricky, but we'll manage. So yeah, that's probably, and I feel like a lot of the praise for the fact that Mass Effect isn't necessarily just following the story of the game, is because of that. Since Mass Effect is built on player choice, yeah, because of its very specific gameplay choices that would not necessarily translate so well to linear television or linear entertainment. But alas, I'm not in charge of the Silent Hill cinematic universe. And honestly, I don't even think anybody is. It's hard to tell. Like, I think they were hoping for the best by bringing it back to the director of the successful Silent Hill, as opposed to the unsuccessful sequel, which was bad. Like that second movie, which was directed by somebody else, and I want to say it was also PG-13 for some reason, and had Jon Snow in there. Though it's again not his fault that it was bad. He did his best with the material that was given to him. Like that movie was bad. But yeah, I'm not even sure there's anybody really in charge of it or who wants to be in charge of it. But like at the very least, there's been a kind of Silent Hill renaissance going on right now with the success of Silent Hill 2 Remake, Silent Hill F. There's another Silent Hill in the works. Like there was a while in which there was nothing Silent Hill except for playable character in Super Bomberman R. But then also Konami decided like to go nuts for like a year or so. And I don't know if their management changed or they just realized that they're sitting on all of this IP and not doing anything with. Which still leagues better than whatever Square was doing, where they were like, we're sitting on all this IP, let's sell it so that we could put money into AI. Like, there's a reason why Amazon has 2 new Tomb Raider projects and the TV show, is because Square had it, did nothing with it, and sold it. I don't really know too much in regards to the TV show that they're working on. I do like the actress who plays as Lara, also Game of Thrones. A veteran, like Jon Snow. She plays as one of the Snows. I forget her name right now. But yeah, I think for next time, I will definitely have to do a little bit of homework in regards to getting more prepared about what to talk about. Especially if I'm treating this a little bit less like a Let's Play and a little bit more like a podcast. Note how it seems like I'm trying to do an end of the show send-off, despite the fact that there's still 5% more of this level to complete. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, topics, comments, concerns, disagreements with my terrible opinions on movies, let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, though, we've got a little bit more of this place to clean off. Not too much. Although I think we're kind of going to be a little... in the little bit more difficult sections. Largely because of gravity. Gravity and geometry. Those are the things that are always going to eventually work against you in some of these more vertical PowerWash Simulator maps. But alas, not every level can be a nice, flat, walkable terrain. Where you can just easily spray over a flat surface area. Go back and forth a few times. You have to walk around, use ladders, use different sprays. I haven't really been using anything besides the adaptable spray. Largely because, like, I feel as though, like, having a lot of spray options does not necessarily add that much more. I feel as though what these games could benefit from is possibly a little bit more inspiration from first-person shooters. Because, like, you think about a lot of first-person shooters, especially or first-person or for third-person, where you have, like, weapons that do multiple... Oh, my God. Multiple functions. Like, you might have a rapid-fire weapon that's a little bit weaker. You might have a slower-to-fire, large surface area weapon. And I think that's like one of the issues here is ultimately the only things you really have control over is area and pressure. If you make the area bigger, the pressure goes down. If you make the area tighter, the pressure goes up, but the cleaning area goes down. And really, you're just like every cleaning tool you have, whether it is the adaptable nozzle, or whatnot, all kind of serve the same purpose. In that they just control those two activities. And you have a lot of tools at your disposal to control those two activities. And I wonder if, like, that's what it'll take to kind of, like, move things on, is if we get to PowerWash Simulator 3, an even further streamlined version of the PowerWash Simulator experience. Where maybe instead of having so many different nozzles, you might have different types of power washers, depending on like their function. So I kind of find myself wondering, when would you use one version versus the other, especially if like things like ammunition are not an issue. And that's one of the things that they did experiment with in the first game, where you had like a mode which limited your water use. Like, as you can tell, this power washer is perfectly able to use as much water as he wants. There's no limiting function. Oh, I got you. Although I think with the canopy the size, yeah, I won't necessarily need to worry that much. What did I miss down here? You... Sassy's. Sassy's is going to be problematic. Largely because of its verticality, and I think I kind of rushed my way through portions of it. Yeah, especially the sign. Alas, we are still not quite at the last 3 items yet left. Yeah, I definitely rushed through that section. What is next? Oh, hello. The lower pillar, almost done. Luckily, I don't have to do the whole... the whole level again in order to get the achievement. I just need to do the first 3 doors, which I will likely do on my own time because it is getting a little late. Ah, here we go. Sassy's upper wall base. Cafe Gumdrop. Oh. And cafe wall decoration. There we go. Fantastic. I think I'm going to stop here for the night. Got any suggestions for someone to play next? Leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have yourselves a good night. Okay, Sudsy Pants, you're coming with me. If you insist on completely undoing my revenge hit job, then the least you can do is undo the reason for the revenge hit job in the first place. Maybe if you'd swung by my man cave first, we could have avoided this entire situation.